I don't just talk about other people's stuff, I also make my own. Books in particular. To date, I have 4 books you can check out on Amazon. Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and the short story collection Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Hop on down to the description for Amazon links to all 4 books. Enjoy whichever ones you read, and enjoy the video.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni Viewer, still rocking the new look. And since a few of you pointed this out to me, I figured I may as well share my thoughts on it. Apparently, the same guy who did those alternate ending fan animations known as MMDs for things like the Godzilla Polygon trilogy, or who did Shin Hedorah not too long ago, which, according to Google Translate, the name of his channel when translated is Hao Yin, I believe. I'm not sure if that's actually accurate because it is Google Translate. I ran it through. Anyway, whatever the name translates to, the channel has released a new fan animation based around the 50th anniversary of Godzilla vs. Gigan. This time basing off of the Final Wars design. So we have Final Wars Godzilla and the Final Wars Gigan, which we already know that's an interesting new look for the character. Like I said in my Godzilla Final Wars video, even though I don't like the movie, there are some things about it I do like, and whoever thought that it was a good idea to make Gigan look like an H.R. Giger design, that person I hope got a pay raise, because it was a good idea. But anyway, we're not talking about the movie, we're talking about the fan animation. Now, as is typical for these kind of things, it is pretty much free of any human involvement. There are still vehicles, it still takes place in a city, but the focus is entirely on the monsters for roughly 16 to 17 minutes, not counting the credits. And that's a long time to be spending with just the monsters. The only time I've seen him do humans in any of these things, any of the kaiju-themed MMDs anyway, was in the Shin Hedorah one, although I haven't seen every video on the channel yet. Even so, this is yet another example of a kaiju-focused thing. And as we also know from this particular animator, there are a lot of moments in here where they're clearly lifted from pre-existing movies. I think it was a little more noticeable in the beginning of this particular animation. Like Gigan doing the barrel roll that Rodan does in King of the Monsters, or having Godzilla's approach look very similar to how the legendary Godzilla swims through the water, things like that. But that was just like the first 6 minutes or so, which, funnily enough, that's just the cold open, and then we get the title. It's a very long cold open. But after we get the title, and we get into the actual meat of the animation, which is having Godzilla fight Gigan, there it's a little more original. We still see things that are familiar, even stuff that's not actually from the Godzilla series. Like, after Gigan lands in the city and wipes out the military and destroys all the buildings, we get this shot of him sitting amongst the rubble, King Conan style. I can't say I've ever seen a kaiju do that specifically, like not even in Godzilla vs. Kong when Kong literally sat on a throne, he didn't do that. But, amusing little detail, kind of gave us an insight into Gigan's mindset as him being the conqueror. I have destroyed this and now I rule over these ruins. And it is interesting to see how this Godzilla and Gigan interact because in Final Wars, the only battle they actually have is over practically before it starts. There's this brief interaction in Antarctica where Gigan goes after Godzilla and it looks like he's got the upper hand until Godzilla just blows his head off. And it's a very short battle. For my full thoughts on the lengths of the battles in that movie, go watch the actual video I made. But getting to see what an actual full-on fight might have been like, that's interesting. I do appreciate how this was done, and Even as the fight is still incorporating moments that are familiar, there's stuff in there that's brand new. Stuff that, once again, gives us insights into the monsters' mindsets, how they strategize, how they figure each other's moves out, and start employing strategies to gain the upper hand. We get to see the monsters strategizing, figuring each other out, using their environments, and seeing which attacks work and which attacks don't, and how they go about gaining the upper hand on each other as the battle just steadily escalates and escalates. Once again, I think it's a good example of how you can have an extended kaiju sequence that's just focused on them. Now, there are some weird things that make this particular entry feel maybe not quite as polished as previous ones. The texturing on Godzilla, for example, doesn't look that good, which is weird because Gigan's texturing looks amazing. Although Gigan's eye also isn't lit up for some shots. There seems to be this thing where it goes on and off randomly, depending on the shot. I don't know why that happened, because usually Gigan's eye, when he's awake, is just lit up, the Final Wars version at least. And the original version, yeah, what am I thinking? There are also moments where the pacing of it feels a little bit off, like it went a little too fast in some shots. Maybe it was because some of those shots were, in fact, I don't want to say taken from the movie, but clearly meant to be reminiscent of shots from the movie. So maybe it was done just to avoid any copyright problems. But still, I mean, it's not the most polished of the animations I've seen come from this channel. That being said, it is still good. And if you want to check it out, I mean, by all means do if you haven't yet. I think it was yet another good addition to this guy's particular repertoire. And that's basically all I have to say at the moment. I like the characterization. I like the animation for the most part. There are a few rough spots here and there, but overall, very enjoyable watch. At the moment, I can't really think of anything else to say right now. So, got other things I gotta get working on, including one monstrous moment. So, just thought I'd share my thoughts because I know some of you guys were curious to hear what I thought. And that's all for now. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.
Congratulations, you reached the end. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to consider supporting us on Patreon. Of course, the other way to support us is to go to Amazon and check out our books: Operation Red Dragon, The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, The Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Also check the description for links to DeviantArt and other platforms we operate. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.